exactly the configuration. I was like, okay, I want a Pepsi GMT. I want the Pepsi with a Jubilee bracelet. And it's like, all right, bro, it's yours. And so you can come on tomorrow, make payment, and it's yours. So hi y'all, welcome back to Watch Daddy. My name is Alvin. Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about how I got allocated my Pepsi GMT after a 3.5 year wait at a waiting list at an AD in Singapore. And also I'll touch a bit about why ADs, Rolex ADs in particular, while they can be, scattered around the same city, have very different ways in which they treat customers, and it's not all uniform across all cities or across any continent or even across any countries. I'll break it down for you guys. So I'm going to keep this story short. So since 2018, when the Pepsi GMT was released again, let's just say that I was enamored with it. So about 20 years ago, my dad got his GMT, the black GMT bezel. It was still the 116 or the 16710. It's a 5-digit GMT from 2003 or 4. So I've worn it for a few years when I started working early in my career. And so I sort of lusted for one, the modern ones at least, when the Batman came out in 2013. And then slowly you could see the Pepsi and the white gold GMT, which was released shortly after. And then in 2018, they released this one. So I really, at that point in time, I was like, oh, this is really amazing. It was very beautiful. And so at the time, I remember going to an AD, which shall not be named, but the initials are THG in Singapore. So I've stated my interest to one of the assistant managers over at THG. And I can say that for THG, the service has always been good, a cut above the rest, compared to one that starts with K and the other one that starts with S, or another one that starts with C, which are all Rolex ADs as well across Singapore. I have to say that the THG, the one that I've been to, they always, in terms of customer service, the way they interact with you, the way that they speak to you, they've always held a level of class and a level of service in which I think the staff are required to maintain a certain high level. And so as I went there, I indicated my interest, although I knew I had no shot getting it at the time. This watch was already trading, a couple thousand US dollars above its retail price, at least in 2018, 2019, probably even more, if I remember correctly. So they were very patient telling me that, as a brand new customer, I have to rack up purchases over time, sort of establish myself, which is fine because Rolex, the demand for Rolex is just simply too high. So you know what, it's fine. It's sort of fair, rewarding customers that have been loyal over the years. And so for me, it's like I'm a young guy. I'm still working. 4, 5, 6 years ago, I just started working. So I thought, maybe it's a good time to just start accumulating purchases over time. So over the next 2 to 3 years, I bought a few watches from there. I bought a Bulgari Octo Finissimo. I bought a Tudor Black Bay 58. And then certain friends of mine have bought a Jaeger LeCoultre, and also I think a Breitling as well. So over time, I've racked up enough purchases. So about 15 months ago, I was allocated a Datejust Wimbledon dial, Datejust 36. Very, very, very classy watch. I loved it. And I ran into the opportunity to get it. And later on, while I moved to Hong Kong, I sort of lay low for a while, bought a few watches from the grey market, started buying a few other watches. And lo and behold, last year when I was back in Singapore in November of 2022, I just gave my sales contact a message that I was back in Singapore for a couple of weeks. And lo and behold, he said, you know what, bro, come to the shop now. I was like, what's going on? And he said, what was the watch that you told me you really wanted? I was like, a Pepsi? And he said, yeah, okay. What configuration is it? I said, any configuration. And this sales contact at THG said, no, bro, tell me exactly the configuration. I was like, okay, I want a Pepsi GMT. I want the Pepsi with a Jubilee bracelet. And it's like, all right, bro, it's yours. And so you can come out tomorrow, make payment, and it's yours. So lo and behold, I ran to the AD the following day, I think just after lunch, and I purchased it right off the bat. I was so excited, I think patience is a virtue, and I'm glad that I stuck it out. A lot of people, they shit on Rolex giving shitty service, but I think it really depends on the area that you're from. THG has maintained a certain high standard, which I don't think I've observed from any other AD. Even in Hong Kong, the few that I go to, I think while they're generally polite, they're generally quite alright, I think the level of service that THG provides in Singapore, at least for the ones in Singapore, I can say, they have always been very more or less sincere and truthful with what they say, and because they want to maintain a certain high quality, and for that I'm grateful and appreciative. Guys, don't hate on all ADs. Well, I think quite a lot of them are scum, for lack of a better term, but I think choose your ADs wisely. Not all are the same. Some are just a bit more, sort of, I don't know, some of the sales reps feel like they're from the hood a little bit. I think they can really brush up their professionalism. Just constructive criticism. I think everyone needs to do better. Even this THG, I'm sure some of the stuff can do better. We should all seek to improve and do well. So I think maybe for the rest, there's more work to do for THG. Keep it up. Stay awesome, and hope you guys call me soon for more watches. That's all I can say. So I think maybe just to touch on the topic in 2023, I know this topic has been covered for maybe 3 or 4 years, that Rolex ADs have always been getting not so great service and all that. I think because there's just so much demand and there's just so much hype around Rolex Patek AP. Even for AP, I can say that a friend of mine in Hong Kong wanted to introduce me to the sales manager at AP in Hong Kong, because apparently if you get introduced, there's a higher chance of you getting allocated a piece that you want, which I think is fine, but it sometimes feels like a bit of an old boys network, like the rich guys will always get richer, and therefore it's sort of always, it feels sort of like the old boys network, very privileged folks get to enjoy the best stuff. Sometimes you hanker after and you really desire, that the good old days, where you're like, you've done well in life, you just want to walk in and build a relationship off the bat, as opposed to always having to do referrals, which is, I guess, part of high society, or upper middle income, upper middle class at least. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna berate the whole way in which they operate, but it's just the way of life. I think maybe to be fair and maybe a more viable solution moving forward, I think folks understand that watches are amazing. I love this Rolex GMT. I love it. It's amazing. But I would say that for all of you who really love watches, who really have been getting more and more knowledgeable in terms of the different brands and what they offer, different models within brands, and I think given the advent of information available online, everyone's been able to read a lot more than ever before, right? And so much coverage on YouTube, articles, magazines, books, etc., blogs. And so I think that a lot of actually new brands are coming up. One doesn't need to be obsessed or just limit yourselves to Rolex, Patek AP, maybe to some extent even Tudor, Richard Mille. Well, these watches are great watches to aspire towards. I think watches go beyond just these brands. So many other watches are available that are amazing. I think if you watched my videos previously, I just went to a Ming watch event. Ming starts with MING. It's a independent sort of micro brand based in Malaysia, and it's gotten some notoriety since folks like Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful online talking about Ming. And it's great to see small micro brands getting the recognition and notice that it deserves. That's just one example. Obviously, there's so many other watches out there to collect. Omegas, if you understand the amount of work that's done, the amazing movements that they have, and if Omegas are your thing, go for it. Right? It's not just Rolex Patek AP, Rolex Patek AP. So I would suggest everyone, read up more. And I would say that for myself, I've started collecting watches since about 2016, 2017. Started buying my way over the years, collected some watches, bought some watches on the grey market, owned them for a while, understanding what the hype is all about, enjoying them. And then sometimes some of these watches I realized they're just not worth keeping. They're just, the hype, the amount of hype is so great that it sort of supersedes the actual experience of wearing the watch, I feel. And so sometimes for some people, even the chase is more satisfying than actually owning the piece. So I would say that diversify out. Just go beyond these 4 or 5 brands. Look at watches where, they're worth enjoying. So I would say for the last 2 years or so, since 21 and 22, 21, 22, 23, this year, I've looked a lot more at micro brands. I looked more at watches that are, I would say, in limited quantity, that are much lesser known. For those of you who are in watches, who love watches, who pay attention, you guys know. I got myself a Mad 1, so it's right here, a Mad 1. I bought grey market for this because there's just no way that I'm going to get this, right? I'm not part of the friends in the tribe within MBNF. So I paid quite a bit for this. But it's one of those pieces where I know it's so limited and only certain people can get it. So I think I find more joy in collecting watches that you can see it spinning actually. I find more joy in collecting watches that are a bit more special, a bit more limited. After a while, I think more people will sort of gravitate towards this. So it's just a matter of maturing, your taste maturing over time and developing over time. So this one is one that I got. I have purchased, I pre-ordered 2 Ming watches. One of which I will definitely keep. The other one, I'm still on the fence. We'll see. But I have a friend who really loves it and who wants me to maybe consider selling it to him. I don't know. So I think at some point people will have their main brands like the Rolex, the Pepsi, the GMT, the Daytonas of the world. But then again, as your tastes grow and develop, you want to move into the more independent stuff, which is much more rare. Some even go for piece uniques, which is amazing. I mean, if I ever get to that level, I may actually start doing that. But I've got to be a baller. So, for me to be a baller, Watch Jelly needs to grow. I think a lot of you are not subscribers who watch the content. I think a good 90% of you are non-subscribers who watch the content. So I would implore you to like, share, subscribe. Comment on us and tell us what type of brands or what your experience with ADs are like. Number 1. Number 2, apart from Rolex, Patek, APs, the usual brands, what other micro brands, independent brands that you look at? And what would you spend time researching on in the last couple of years? So tell us and leave us in the comments below. And I appreciate you guys. Please follow the channel. And for those of you who have been following, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Sometimes it's not easy to build something like this, but I've spent the time and I appreciate all your support, and you guys keep coming back to watch our videos and the podcast. So for those of you, like, share, subscribe. This has been Elvin. Hope you guys enjoyed the content that we put out recently. The Ming video, go check it out. The videos where I hunt for watches in Vietnam and Taipei. So go for those as well. So thank you all. Appreciate the time. Elvin signing out. Don't forget to keep watching Jelly.